Hello everyone, it's me, Riley Rose, and today we are going to be reading Peppa Pig, Gone Rogue. Part of the series, Peppa's Crazy Life. Peppa and Susie get into a fight, but what happens when the fight goes nuts? When I say it went nuts, it went nuts. I do not take credit for the cover. The cover was used with permission. Let's get started. A random phone call. Peppa sits down and thinks, what job interests me? Then she knew that she could come to Susie's sheep for help. She dials Susie's sheep's number on the telephone. Hello? Susie answered. Well, Susie, I need to tell you something, said Peppa. Susie automatically knew what was gonna be about. Susie took a deep breath in and waits. I got fired from Pepsi, she sighed. Susie put her X phone on the couch and went to the bathroom to scream. Yeah, I knew it, baby. I knew it. Woo! No one's more right than Susie Sheep. Woo! Susie runs to the X phone. I'm so sorry for you, Susie says while grinning. It's fine, but I don't know what my next job's gonna be. Peppa sighed. Again, Susie knew that even though she was excited about Peppa getting fired, she had to help. Hey, Peppa, let me come over. Let's talk, Susie calmly said. Peppa agreed. She ended the call to go clean up, so just like that, she just stepped into dog poop. She even brushed her teeth so her breath didn't smell like dog food. She even tidied up the house, too. Then she waited at the door for Susie, her best friend Susie, to come. Of course, she needs her fruit, so she went to get her fruit, and she sat down and waited patiently. The not-so-friendly house talk. Ding dong! Peppa rushed to the door. She hasn't even seen Susie in ages. She opens the door. Peppa frowns. It's the mailman. She gladly takes the mail and goes back waiting for Susie. 12 minutes later go by. Ding dong! Peppa rushes to the door. Susie hugs her for like 5 seconds and walks to the dinner table. She sits down and brings out 2 pieces of paper with jobs that are ready to hire. Well, in my opinion, I think the cashier works best for you. Remember that one time when you were cashier at the playgroup? Said Susie. Well, I don't want to be a cashier. I want to be a skipper, said Peppa. A stripper means a jump roper. Susie looked at Peppa. What type of job is that? What type of job is a dancer, Susie? At least I have a job, says Susie. What do you think, you little piece of sheep? Yelled out Peppa. At least I have a job, Susie yelled out. Get out, you'll pay for this, yelled Peppa. Susie got up and left and didn't care that she had to leave. She just didn't even want to see Peppa again. Peppa Pig, what has gone into you? We all accosted vaping. Susie went home and thought what happened 30 minutes ago. She went to make her favorite treat, cookies. She had everything she needed except a clean plate. Susie went to the sink to wash every single plate she had. She looked out the window. Peppa was outside the window with a knife. Susie jumped. Peppa grabbed the knife and mentioned to cutting her neck. Susie knew what Peppa meant. Peppa was pretty mad about the whole situation and threatened to kill Susie. Susie ran up, rushed upstairs, and locked her door. She started to get scared. She looked at the window. Peppa was still there. Susie called Rebecca to come help her, but then she realized Peppa was outside waiting for Susie. She was ready to grab her X phone when Peppa walked into the house. Susie's neighbors came to bring her cookies, but Peppa snuck up behind them and she stabbed him until he couldn't see the light of day anymore. Then when Susie really panicked, her best friend had gone psycho. While Peppa was really panicked, her best friend had gone full psycho. While Peppa was disposing of the evidence, Susie ran to Rebecca Rabbit's house. She looked back to make sure she wasn't being followed. She did make it. With treps slipping down her forehead and 2 big tears in her eyes, shut on the door, Rebecca took a quick glance at Susie. Then she sat her down and locked the door. Tell me everything. Why is she chasing you? Asked Rebecca Rabbit. Susie tried to calm down while Rebecca gave her a cup of water. A few minutes passed by. Susie explained everything. Rebecca is completely shocked. Rebecca opened her curtains and takes Susie upstairs to her room. They hear the glass shatter. Rebecca goes upstairs to take a tiny look. She was disturbed. She saw a giant rock on the floor. Next there was glass shatters everywhere. Peppa broke the window to get inside the house. She made eye contact with Rebecca, shouted out, "Escape!" super loudly so that Susie could hear her. Peppa shot at Rebecca and ran upstairs to find Susie. When Peppa came upstairs, she couldn't find her. Peppa looked into the bathroom. No sheep yet. Then Peppa looked back into Rebecca Rabbit's room. Peppa ripped off the curtains and a broken window. Susie ran and ran. Susie saw a trail of blood, giant puddles of blood everywhere. Well, Peppa, it's not a muddy puddle, but you can jump in them, Susie said, feeling panicked yet smiling at the same time as her choke. She didn't know where to hide. Oh God, well, I'm dead, beef, exclaimed Susie. Susie ran everywhere to find somewhere to hide, until she bumped into Pedro. Pedro got himself cleaned up off some dirt off his shirt. Oh hey, what's up? Susie looked at him, confused. Look around, Pedro. Blood puddles everywhere, exclaimed Susie. Pedro looked around. You are being delusional. Susie turned around, then she realized she was in Pinckney Avenue. She was at Gays Boulevard. I don't know what's going on with my mind. Oh my god, thank goodness, she sighed out. Susie, Pedro looked at her confused. I'll explain later, said Susie. You have anywhere I could go? Pedro looked around at her to his apartment. After Pedro locked the door and made some tea for Susie and himself. Do you have any cookies? Asked Susie. Pedro looked at her. Don't ask me anything except tea packets. It's all I have, said Pedro. Sip up and exclaimed. Susie sipped her tea, then tipped over. Spill the tea, sis, said Susie. Pedro laughed, but he was too anxious to know what was happening. He waited for an answer. 24 minutes went by. Then Susie broke the silence. Peppa went rogue after our fight. Pedro sips his tea at Susie after hearing what Susie just said. Pedro heard a giant scream outside. Then Susie was too busy on her ex phone to notice. Pedro snarled at Susie, grabbed her ex phone, and threw it on the floor. Hide in the bathroom, yelled Pedro. Peppa knew that Susie would be someone that she hated, and that would be Pedro's apartment. Peppa knew exactly where Pedro's apartment was. Not because she was creepy or anything, they just had to work on a high school project together. She came over. Surprisingly, she remembered the location. Hello, Pet. A dead corpse on the body. Peppa didn't let anyone get in her way. She was furious that she had one bullet left. Perfect for Susie. She raised up her arm, shoot the sky with her gun, for good luck. Don't ask me why. She's just dumb in her own way. Peppa knocked on the door and rushed into the kitchen to get a snack, but all Pedro had was tea, so Peppa made herself some tea, then grabbed the butter knife from the kitchen, also a glove for no reason whatsoever. Every room in the apartment had a door except the bathroom. Peppa rushed into every single room. Meanwhile, inside the bathroom, Pedro and Susie were hugging each other and shutting each other's mouth. What a semi-friendly gesture to save each other's lives. Pedro locked the bathroom door and turned off the lights. Too late for that, don't you think, bud? Peppa slammed her body against the door. Then she looked at the butter knife. She cut the lock on the door and kicked down the door. Pedro faced Susie and whispered one word, go! Oh shoot, this again. Oh god, Peppa needs to stop vaping. Peppa pulled out her gun, ready to shoot, pointed at Susie. Susie closed her eyes and hugged Pedro tighter. The gun pointed at Susie, then went off. Pedro looked at Susie, nothing. He looked at Peppa. Peppa looked back at him with a shocked look. Then she realized why it didn't work. Her last bullet was good. Her last bullet was for good luck. Susie opened her eyes and looked around. Am I in heaven? She asked. Glance at Peppa. Susie continued. Never mind. Peppa threw the gun outside the hallway, put her gloves on, and grabbed her knife. Well, what for? She already had her fingerprints all over the butter knife. Okay, yeah, I should stop. Peppa jumped out for Pedro with a knife and slit his throat, opened him up, put the knife straight into his heart. As for Susie, she ran away, finding a good hiding spot to call somebody. But again, she was at Gays Ella Boulevard. She didn't know where to go, where to hide. She was lost. She couldn't choose a bush or a tree again. I say she was lost. Then Emily Elephant ran after her in the middle of nowhere. Hey Susie, what's up? Before Emily Elephant could finish her sentence, Susie shoved her into a bush. Well, that's not polite, said Emily. Susie looked at her phone. Shoot, 5%. Susie looked at Emily. Do you have a phone on you? Asked Susie. If so, can I borrow it? Emily gave her a really now look. They gave her the phone. She was at 1%. Susie threw a phone at Emily. Never mind, frowned Susie. You stupid little sheep. Emily Elephant looked confused. She has no idea what's going on. Why did you ask for my phone? Asked Emily. Susie shrugged because she didn't want to tell anyone else what was going on. Susie realized that she had enough battery on her phone to make a quick phone call. With her shaky hand, she grabbed her ex phone and called the police station. She was, of course, in a bush. The service wasn't that good, but she was not giving up on hope. Then she heard a voice on the phone. Hello? Said the operator on the phone. Susie screamed out. There is a murder at Gays Ella Boulevard. Help! Then she ended the call right away. Peppa obviously heard her. Susie heard the footsteps coming. Peppa came charging with a knife. Susie ran away as fast as she could, but her leg was stuck in the bush. Peppa grinned horrendously. Peppa came into the bush that Susie was stuck in. She smiled and laughed. Peppa picked up Susie and threw her against the fence, then began to stab her while laughing. Peppa looked up at Emily Elephant running her asshole. Peppa gave it away, the giant ears, the giant truck. No, the fact that the elephant always was the brightest fucking yellow shirt. Peppa came crashing into her before she could put her knife in. Emily, she heard someone yell out, then turn around and put your hands up. Peppa turned around, was surrounded by 4 police cars and 8 cops. She knew that she effed up. She fucked up. So she just said what the cops asked her to do. 4 cops took Peppa into the car while the other 4 came too. Interview Emily on the whole situation. After the cops interviewed Emily, Peppa was taken to prison to serve 30 years for murder. She should be in jail for life, but okay. Nothing really changed, except for in honor of Susie, they remained the playground Susie's playgroup. In honor of Pedro, Pepsi built a statue of Pedro outside the factory, and for Rebecca Rabbit, well, the kids at Gays Ella Boulevard grabbed some chalk and wrote Rebecca Rabbit on the sidewalk. And for Peppa, well, we'll check on her soon. And that is the end of this beautiful, important story to remember, I think. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe if you want more. This is the end of our meeting. Goodbye.